So I still have the tags on these clothes, so if you see them, don't look at them. I'm one of those weird people that like when you go back to school, part of the fun experience is that like before you go to class, like when you're getting ready, you take off the tags for your new clothes. So I still have the tags on the clothes. Um, but I wanted to talk about something that not a lot of people know for some reason. I think that we don't teach history in a way that's fun and interesting, so it leads people to not going off on their own and learning much about history. I've always been a huge history buff because my mommy is a huge history buff, so and she's a good storyteller, which is why she's a writer. I pointed up because her writing desk is right here. Um, so I've always had an interest in history and what affects history, and especially in terms of our pop culture. Um, a part of my major is history, so I care about history enough to do this on an academic setting. My eyeshadow's bothering me, but I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep doing it, man. I'm just gonna keep going. Um, the red eyeshadow is giving me a hard time. Um, so I wanted to talk about the history of Mickey Mouse and also just automatically that's the history of animation for this time period. And also Goofy has to be thrown into this too because he is also a popular Disney character that we still love and care about. I want to put a disclaimer and tell everyone that you can still like these characters. I still like these characters. I'm literally going to explain to you what's actually on my shirt. Um, and honestly, it's very reflective of what we want for America to begin with. And if you want to know what I mean by that, just keep watching the video and I'm going to explain to you um, just exactly what I mean by that. So for starters, Mickey Mouse, if we see the back of my jacket, I swear I'm not sponsored by Forever 21, but like I can be. Um, what did I say? 1928 is, I don't know why there's Japanese all over the 90th Mickey anniversary crap. I don't know why. You would think as a person that's doing a thing about the history. But yeah, one, for starters, Walt Disney isn't even the one that made Mickey Mouse. He just branded Mickey Mouse. His, well, supposed friend was the one that did Mickey Mouse. I say supposed because Walt Disney was a little shady with it. I forget that man's name. You see how shady Walt Disney is that I can't remember the dude's name, even though I've seen like his face a bunch of times. And then like Drunk History had an episode on it. I'll probably add his picture and his name on the side here, edit it in because I can't remember. Um, but Mickey Mouse was basically made to combat the popularity of Felix the Cat. Um, Mickey Mouse obviously won. um, but there is a dark history. I think it's just history. History isn't always happy, happy, fun times. Most of history isn't. Um, Mickey Mouse and Goofy and those sort of characters are actually minstrel characters. The Disney reels were actually not just based off of minstrel shows because we tend to do this to separate the two. They were the same thing, but just animated. Mickey Mouse was originally a minstrel show, and I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but if you don't know what a minstrel show is, it's basically where people put on blackface. I'll put up pictures if you don't know what blackface is. Um, If you don't know what blackface is, I highly recommend you learn more about it so that you understand why the African American community gets uncomfortable when people darken their skin, whether it be for cosplay or a Halloween costume. Um, it help you better understand us, and if you are African American or you're black but you're not African American and you still don't know any of this information, I especially, like, I'm not just recommending you, I'm telling you to, because knowing our history is important to our current survival. I know that sounds really dramatic, but it's really important for us as black people to be able to be like, hey, in order to breathe, because right now it's hard to with everything that's going on. So yeah, look that up. Um, but blackface basically, ironically enough, red lipstick, charcoal coloring that they would basically smash together, and they put it all over their face, their neck, and if they don't feel like putting on their hands, they'll just put white gloves on. So white gloves are not always mandatory. It was just a way to be lazy. Not only white people did this, but also people of other races, and that includes black people, because as a form of survival in the entertainment industry, a lot of black people, well, not a lot, but like a chunk of black people would end up putting on blackface um, in order to get a paycheck, which is depressing. Um, but so yeah, it's a form of entertainment that was meant to mock us. So like for the Asians watching right now, the equivalent would be yellowface. If you're Asian and you don't know what yellowface is, again, I'm not recommending you. I'm telling you that that's something that you need to know. History is power. Trust me. If you've seen Breakfast and Tiffany's, you've seen Yellowface. Even like the TV version where they cut out most of the scenes with Mr. Miyagi. Not Mr. Miyagi. What's the name? Isn't Mr. Miyagi the other thing? Ignore me. I'm supposed to be talking about history of pop culture, and I'm all over the place. But in my defense, I haven't eaten today, and my eyeshadow is distracting me. I'm not stopping though. But basically, yeah, that's Yellowface. That's not an actual Japanese man. That's a white dude in Yellowface. So back to blackface. Blackface is basically to look black, but it's just a caricature that's ridiculing black people, and it's meant to be harmful. There is no, oh, it's just entertainment. It wasn't trying to do anything. It was trying to be harmful, and it was effectively harmful. And basically they'd like run around stealing chickens, euphemisms for raping white women, and all sorts of other nonsense. And Mickey Mouse and Goofy and such were all a part of this, which is depressing to have to think about, but like if my 7-year-old self could handle my mom telling me this, y'all can handle me telling you this, because I'm pretty sure you're older than 7. But yeah, the original reels are basically minstrel shows, which is why it was kind of weird when Disney had, I don't think they do it anymore, but like for like a hot 5 minutes, they had Steamboat Willie playing like right before a Disney movie, so it was like the little whistle with him on the steamboat. I was like, that's a little weird, but like at the same time, it's still the history of Mickey Mouse. But basically, that's why a lot of Disney characters that are from those old reels are just cartoon characters in general, including like Bugs Bunny, have gloves on their hands. It's a minstrel cartoon reel. Once Mickey Mouse became so popular, Walt Disney had changed his mind about making him just a minstrel character. Not only that, but like minstrel cartoons, at least on this half of the world, and especially in the United States, just faded out of popularity because black people were like, can you not? And so the image of Mickey Mouse changed. So he went from a minstrel character to a Keyblade master. And again, I know it's really odd and uncomfortable to talk about, but like, take it to the face. Warner Brothers has done a very good job in terms of speaking about the fact that their cartoons were horrifically racist and anti-Semitic and sexist, and pretty much every single ounce of bigotry you can possibly spout out, and ask people to take them as historical documentation, and that Warner Brothers no longer reflects that nonsense and that they aren't going to try to hide that history because it's an important part of history. And it's reflective of America itself. And when I say America, I mean the United States. It's a hard pill to swallow to think that, like, you're sitting there watching Space Jam and Bugs Bunny has been in blackface before. Like, that's a little awkward. Um, but again, even though it's a hard pill to swallow, it's still not something that you should feel any sort of shame to hear about or talk about. Or feel like you can't like Disney characters anymore, or like you can't like Mickey Mouse anymore. You can still like Mickey Mouse. Again, the 90th anniversary of Mickey Mouse has the minstrel version of Mickey Mouse everywhere. I hope to God that like white suburban girls that try their hardest to prove that they're not racist, even though they kind of are, but then they use social justice movements to act like they aren't. Don't start screaming at Disney about this because, again, it's up to you to learn about the history of Disney, and also just the fact that Mickey Mouse doesn't represent this anymore. I still completely understand the sentiment of, like, that's uncomfortable. I don't want that. Because you know how awkward I was at first seeing the 90th Forever 21 collaboration that I'm actually wearing right now. It was a little weird. How do I feel about the minstrel version of Mickey Mouse on a t-shirt? But how do I explain? I don't want to compare it to like taking back the N-word, but that's kind of the best, I don't know, analogy or whatever that I have to understanding how to explain this. So they failed miserably at Mickey Mouse being this image of pretty much hatred and bigotry. Mickey Mouse instead became this character that brings together kids of all different races and ethnic backgrounds. You can get a kid from Korea and a kid from over here in America and sit the two together, and they'll sit down and they'll watch like something Disney related, or they'll feel at home in a way about something Disney related. They have something that reaches them together to bring them together that is something Disney related. And I feel like instead of the original intention being the main focus, although it's something that you still need to know, instead focus on the interaction with the media. Like, when it comes to pop culture and just the way our society functions, how an individual interacts with the media is what's like the biggest part of the effect of the media. So to look at Mickey Mouse and to see a representation, going back to what I was inferring earlier, you see a representation of what you want America to be, because America is not where we want it to be right now, no matter how much you tell yourself it is. Yeah, we have things that are better than other people, more rights than other people. We still have severe issues. I shouldn't have to sit here and have in the back of my mind a fear of something happening to one of my male cousins because he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and a cop just was not the kind of person that deserves to be wearing that badge. I shouldn't have had to deal with things like my college, the music department, the white dude that was doing the audition telling me, oh yeah, people like you and things like that. He's fired now, don't worry about it. No one should have to deal with the things that minorities often face. People can try to erase it all they want to, but it's not going to go away just because you say that it doesn't exist. And Mickey Mouse, again, and so did Goofy, which is why they both were very, like, so Mickey Mouse wasn't, like, happy-pappy like he is now. He was very, like, Well, look at the t-shirt. That is not really what we typically think of when we think of Mickey Mouse. That's not the image that we have of Mickey Mouse. The minstrel characters tend to be very lazy, a little angry, a little aggressive, and if they're not angry and aggressive, they're like goofy. Hence the name Goofy, where he's very... I mean, if you don't know what Goofy is like, well, I don't know why you're watching this video. Goofy is very goofy, because part of the minstrel shows was that we were basically stupid. Us Negroes were just dumb, and there is no possible way for one of us to ever be intelligent. We were all just stupid, that we all just bumped around the earth, just bopping around, and we're a waste of space, and that we contribute nothing to society, and that people are always have to save us from something because we just can't do anything right. You can still enjoy a Goofy movie, though. Like, I'm not gonna not cosplay Roxanne at one point. And I'm repeating myself about this just because I just don't want people to allow guilt to consume them about this subject. Because even though it wasn't a hard pill for me to swallow, for others it's a lot harder because, again, they don't have a mom like mine that would talk about racism very open and very... That's a thing. What am I trying to say? I keep saying stuff. Some people do outlines for YouTube. I don't think that helps me. So I stopped paying attention to it. I started to do one and I was like, let's go. Yeah. On YouTube, you can watch these old reels to know what I'm talking about their behavior. And watching these reels will help you understand why, like, there was no horrific effect of white girls, no matter what white suburban woman will tell you. There was no, like, they didn't not get jobs because of this. They didn't have to risk being lynched because the Wayans brothers did White Girls, which is essentially more so a parody of blackface when you think about it, because there isn't any such thing as whiteface. I mean, there is such a thing as, like, anti-Semitic caricatures, but, like, not all white people are Jewish, too, which is something that people don't... Well, not all Jewish people are white, I mean, which is that's another topic for another day. My point is the difference between white chicks and then minstrel shows is that minstrel shows were used to instill an image to continue to justify lynching and committing all sorts of different forms of genocide and harming other human beings. Like, I know, like, white girls have the image of, like, preppy and valley girl, but, like, y'all still not being dragged by the back of a cop car like my granduncle was. So, like, it's not the same. I just wanted to say that because I felt like someone would mention it. Mickey Mouse, again, should be something that represents a form of positivity, even though he stems from something of negativity. The concept that something that started off as hatred towards a group of people, or just hatred towards people in general, turned into something that brings in people of all different backgrounds together. Like, you're able to walk into Disney World or Disneyland now and have black families roll up in there and not just be there to work for the park. Like, they're able to just go and to have fun and to ride roller coasters. And you have people from different countries, different ethnic and racial backgrounds, and even different social, like, economic backgrounds, because they were able to save enough money to finally take their kids there, had a nice enough coupon, whatever it is, they were able to take their kids there. And now Mickey Mouse represents something that if kids don't have a friend, or if they feel lonely for whatever reason, or if they're going through a tough time, or if Donald doesn't heal you soon enough so you end up dying, but then Mickey comes because he's the GOAT, you're able to have him there. And I don't want anyone to deny the history of this just because it makes them uncomfortable, because people do that. A teacher tried to do that to me once, and I was like, don't try me. It's a 20-minute song. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. My point is, I wanted to do this in a documentary format where I was just talking about it. Someone made a comment on one of my YouTube videos that the way that I talk tends to be very personable, and I noticed that people in real life tell me, well, it's still real life, but you know what I mean, tell me this too, and I feel like it's easier to swallow things like this when you just talk about it in a very personable, this is just a conversation instead of an academic setting way. There are people that did it in a more academic way, but I honestly told you all the information that they tell you. I just did it in an informal way. In summary, Mickey Mouse was, without a doubt, meant to be mean. Next level mean. Regina George can't even touch that mean. As a form of entertainment. The people behind the animation for Disney have even done, blackface minstrel shows before. They're familiar with this. It was meant to be a minstrel show, but just as a cartoon. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't love Mickey Mouse. I believe Disney has said the same of Warner Brothers, that their company no longer reflects that. I mean, with characters like Moana and the way that they handled Moana, I feel like we should know by now that Disney doesn't really represent that anymore. It's still an awkward conversation with Disney to talk about Walt Disney, though, without, sugarcoating him. Yeah. Even with knowing this information, I mean, again, he's something that has been taken back, that he doesn't represent that hatred, that bigotry, and such a disgusting point of view on other humans. He represents that character that we still know and love. Still know and love Disney. Still buy the things from the Forever 21 thing. My mom got me 3 things: the skirt, the shirt, and then this jacket for my birthday. You can still love and appreciate all of these Disney things. You can still watch a Goofy movie. Just remember where certain things come from. Because honestly, it makes the current image of Disney all that more powerful. But that's my late 90s after school special. I'm gonna take all this crap off because I'm sweating, and hope you have a great day. You can subscribe down below because there's more videos to come. I don't know when I'm gonna post this. I'll figure it out. And leave a comment about how you feel about knowing this information and your perspective on the change of what Disney represents, what Warner Brothers represents, and what all these different companies that have existed for almost a century now. 10 years from now, Mickey Mouse will be 100 years old. How their progress and how their social change is a reflection of our culture and of our society. If you want to do that, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, you can not do that. I don't know. But, hey, no. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm sweating.